What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to the First and Long College Football Show. I'm Marcus, going solo today. So glad that you're here to join me. We've got some good matchups here in week 4. Sorry we're a little bit tardy getting this to you, but it's been a crazy week. And I know you all know what that's like, so I'm preaching to the choir there, but I am glad to be here talking a little bit of Texas Tech. Not Texas Teach, which is what the screen says right there. Whoopsie daisies. We're just learning lessons around here this week. But it's Texas Tech going on the road at Utah. And that looks a lot better on the screen. Thank you. You're welcome, because I'm a one-man show over here. Utah, 3.5-point favorite, over under set at 57.5 on this one. These teams have been very entertaining this year. Now, have they played anyone? No, of course not. They haven't played anybody. These schedules have both been really lax to start the season off. But the offense hasn't been lax for either one of these teams, but especially the Texas Tech Red Raiders. You can see there on your screen, 58 points per game so far this season. And again, I haven't played anybody, okay? You can see some of the opponents there on your screen. Kent State, one of the worst college football teams there is. Oregon State, we all know the history of the Pac-12. Rest in peace, kumbaya, whatever you want to sing there. Not playing great opponents. But with that being said, this team, how do you put this? Texas Tech has spent a lot of money on this team, okay? And it's completely different than what it was last year. And part of it is, the pass rushers that you bring in, and we'll talk kind of more about that. But one of the biggest pieces is what you actually retain, and that's Baron Morton, who's been really solid this year. 11 passing touchdowns. That's tied for first. Look, for all intents and purposes in this game, I think the quarterbacks are going to, we're going to get to see a good duel here. At 57.5-point over-under, Vegas obviously thinks that this is going to be a pretty crazy game here. And I'm seeing some of the numbers at 4.5. I'm seeing them at 3.5. I'm thinking that number is probably going to fluctuate a little bit as the week goes on. But this has all the makings of a very entertaining Big 12 game. And I think these are the two, in a lot of people's minds, these are the two front runners for the Big 12. Now, we're a long way away from deciding anything like that, but they've sure both looked good so far. That's for certain. When I look at this game, though, I look at the Utah Utes, at the home team here, and I love what they've brought in with Devin Dampier this season. And you can see some of the numbers on your screen: 73% completion, 628 passing yards already. That's awesome. But the rushing yards is what I'm so interested in here. 198 rushing yards. And when I talk about the quarterbacks dueling it out in this game, obviously they don't go play against one another. They don't go tackle each other or something like that. It's going to be the matchup within the matchup. Devin Dampier versus this defensive line and the pass rush for Texas Tech that's been good. It's been good. But this is a different kind of quarterback. They haven't seen a quarterback like this year. The 198 rushing yards is what concerns me, because pass rushing is one thing, run stopping is another, right? And so I'm interested to see, can Texas Tech, I know they can rush the passer. They paid the money. They're going to ride the ride. Okay, they got the dudes, some of the best that money could buy this year, or this past portal season, if you will. But if you I've seen it time and time again with these running quarterbacks. you can blitz all you want to, but can you contain? And I'm not sold that they're going to be able to contain Devin Dampier. Um, and look, a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's got a really good offensive line. This is going to, from what I've heard, is a really, really good offensive line for Utah. I'm very excited to see it in action. I think this is going to be a great matchup between the lines of scrimmage. And look, that goes for Texas Tech as well. Texas Tech's offensive line, the whole left side of it has basically been recreated, right, through the transfer portal. So what are we getting? I don't think that it's been tested. Definitely hasn't been tested by a group like Utah's going to run out there on the field on Saturday at noon. So that, again, lines of scrimmage sounds so cliche, but who can expose who in this game? Because there's a lot of good on good here, and I think both parties feel pretty good about their situations going into it. And I'm here to see who's going to get let down, because somebody's got to get let down here. And it with a tight spread like this, a big over under, this looks like the makings of a really, really, really good game. You can see Utah's last 5 games there. But honestly, that doesn't really depict what's gone on at Utah over the last couple of years. I'm a huge Kyle Whittingham fan just in general. I mean, beyond the fact that I think he's just kind of like a badass dude in general. He's a heck of a football coach, but I like the fact that he's been there so long and he's willing to reinvent himself offensively, and bring a quarterback in through the portal, and not only bring the quarterback in, but bring in a new offensive coordinator essentially through the portal as well. It's just not called the coach's portal, but it was a package deal between the quarterback Dampier and the offensive coordinator there, Beck, that was at New Mexico. And so far, so good, because Utah's offense went from, having Cam Rising when he was healthy and being super exciting. And we all know about the tight ends that have came through this Utah program. And the last year was just very disappointing, right? Really the last couple of years. We all remember the hog farmer, right? That if you've watched college football a lot over the last couple of years, you probably know what I'm talking about. But you had the pig farmer, you had the Russian quarterback that was, not Russian. He wasn't Russian, but the rushing quarterback. It's left a lot to be desired. And everybody thought Cam Rising was coming back this week and last week and next week and next year, and maybe 2 seasons from now he'll get another COVID year. I mean, dude, it was a roller coaster ride, right, with Cam Rising. I'm excited because Utah is a very fun team to watch. They play a very tough brand of football out there on the West Coast, and it's, I think, very enjoyable for most people to watch. And I think this one is going to be nothing short of an amazing game. Maybe, honestly, just a prelude to what is to come for this season, right? Maybe we see this game again. Maybe we see this game again later in the season for a Big 12 championship or something like that. I would not be surprised at all. You can see some of the numbers there on your screen. Hill there at running back. I think Texas Tech is going to have to figure out a way to run the football in this one. And they've thrown the ball all over the yard, but I think you're going to have your changeup this Saturday. I don't think you're going to be able to just throw fastballs, kind of like Texas Tech has been able to do this season so far with the competition they played. Nobody's been able to hit the 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and that's great, right? If they can't hit it, keep throwing it. But I think Utah can hit it. I think they can time that, right? So what's your changeup look like? And I think you've got to be able to run the football and control a little bit of clock, because I'm going to tell you right now, Utah's going to do that. That's going to be their plan. That's going to be their game plan in this game. They're not a very explosive offense. I mean, kind of middle of the pack as far as in the country overall. as far as their explosivity. So, and Texas Tech is the opposite of that. They're extremely explosive, one of the most explosive in the country this season. So I'm also looking to see not only can Texas Tech score, it looks like everybody believes they can score, but can they sustain drives, right? Because sustaining drives and keeping your defense on the sideline, keeping Utah's offense on the sideline, I think is gonna prove to be something that you're going to need to do. You know, you can't just run up and down the field and score and then throw your defense right back out there. I'm interested to see what the time of possession looks like. It's not the end all be all for college football, but being able to run the football and possess the ball and run out the clock whenever you've got a lead in the game is like a superpower, really, in college football. It really, really is, especially whenever you're talking about contender teams like these two are. Um, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Coy Eakin for Texas Tech. He seems to be kind of the go-to guy this season, 245 yards receiving so far this season. And then on the other side, defensively for Utah, Daly is I talked about some of the best guys that money could buy through the portal. This was one of them. He is an absolute stud and can absolutely rush the passer. Interested to see how he can break down and play the run. You know, we all know, again, Utah, tough-nosed football team, great offensive line, going to want to run the football. I'm interested to see how this defense decides to handle it, right, and how they decide to handle this quarterback. I think for Utah, a big thing is going to be figuring out some kind of change up isn't the right word, and I've already used that baseball analogy. But are they able to run the football with somebody other than the quarterback, right? I don't think you can do that all season, especially whenever you start playing against some big hitters, and getting the conference play and things like that. So interested to see, is Utah going to be able to keep running the football like they've been running the football in this game? Are they going to have to rely more on some explosive plays in this one? This is going to be a really, really interesting game going down at noon. I like Utah in this one, folks, and I like Utah to cover the spread. Look, Utah's a tough-nosed team. Kyle Whittingham knows how to get it done in moments like this. I've bet against him too many times, and I've lost too many times. I just like Utah here. Texas Tech, is in a situation where if you've got the inside track on Texas Tech and you just know that they've got this game in the bag, I think this, from a better standpoint, this is going to be one that you could clean up on because it's impossible for people to go all in on Texas Tech after everything that they've seen over the last couple of years. I mean, we all thought they were going to be really good last year, and that idea was just wrong, flat out wrong. So it'll be interesting to see if this is the Texas Tech team that everybody thinks that it is. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm one of those people. I can't wait to see it. I don't think I'm going to be betting on this one, but I'm certainly going to be watching at noon. But give me Utah minus the points. Over-under-wise, 57.5 seems like a lot of points. I think I'm taking the under on that one. So give me under 57.5 and give me Utah to cover at home.